All right, we're gonna make this real quick. The name of this video is called "How Much Do You Really Make?" So I'm gonna give a couple examples. I'm gonna give a couple examples. I'm gonna give a $100,000 example. So another marker. Does everybody want to make six figures, at least for a bottom line, high range goal? So everybody want them six figures. A lot of people brag about those six figures right there. $100,000. So a person might say like, hey, I make $100K, right? So you got two types of people. You got your 9 to 5. You got your 9 to 5 worker, and you have your cash hustler. So 9 to 5 worker, and you have your cash hustler. Now the cash hustler is your typical starting entrepreneur that let's say they have a legit business. Now the word hustle does not mean that you're involved in any form of legal activity. I know some people have categorized it as such. See, in order to be a good entrepreneur, you actually have to be a good hustler by nature, or it's going to be a conflict of interest. If you don't have the nature of hustle, you will not be successful as an entrepreneur in any way, form, or fashion, or a business owner, independent business owner. The only difference between the cash hustler and the everybody starts off as a cash hustler, but you have to eventually graduate from being a cash hustler to a master of bookkeeping in some way, form, or fashion. When I say master, you don't have to be a brilliant, you don't have to be a super intelligent accountant, certified accountant, CPA, anything like that. Now, but what you do have to have a basic common sense understanding of your income, your profits, and your losses. You have to understand your customers. You have to understand your product. You have to understand your service. So that's what I mean by that. These are still the basics. But if you master the basics of these basic concepts, you will be successful in whatever you're doing. All right. I'm using these two examples because we got to understand that both of these people are satisfied. Both of these people, or at least a lot of people in this category, brag as if they're satisfied, as if they made it. So 100K cash. So we got 100K cash, and then we have 100K taxed, right? No tax, right? So just off of this equation right here, we have to ask ourselves, whose 100K, whose 100K is worth more? Is it the 9-to-5 worker, or is it the cash hustler, the entrepreneur, the cash entrepreneur that has the cash-based business? So before we reveal the third tier and the top tier of these two, let's figure out the advantages and disadvantages of being a 9-to-5 worker that makes the 100K, and then the cash hustler that made 100K for that year, right? So we're talking about per year. Per year earnings. All right, now, at the end of the day, we always have to remember it doesn't matter how much you bring in. You could bring in $10 million or $1 billion, and it really wouldn't matter. And people say, what you mean it wouldn't matter? Because at the end of the day, it's not about how much you make. It's about how much you take. What is your take? And of course, what is your profit? Right? What is your profits out of that sum of money that came in? So let's go with this guy. Worked every day, worked hard. This guy has, well, they both have the same expenses though. Let's get that. For the most part, they should to a certain degree, right? This guy wakes up every day, takes a shower, brushes his teeth. So does this person. Now, depending on the business will determine if either party has travel expenses and how much. That travel leaks over to maintenance, vehicle maintenance for the transportation that gets them to point A and point B, et cetera, et cetera. Lunch, they have to feed themselves. So now let's go ahead and start breaking down this equation to its lowest terms. That's the whole basic principle of math. We don't have to be a math guru to break down these principles. Everything needs to be broken down to its lowest terms. So we break this down off jump. We can go ahead and deduct. We can go minus 30K. And wait a minute, how you gonna take away 30K? So you mean so minus 30K is what? 70,000. So how you gonna knock? So why would I take $30,000 away from this man already off the jump? Well, because he has to deal with something called federal taxes, state taxes, and medical. Anything else that comes out is check. Let's not include, these are the mandates, right? That they say is mandatory, right? For your typical 9-to-5 employee, right? Employee. Now this person could be classified as an independent contractor, whether he's properly operating that capacity or not. End of the day, he's responsible for his own taxes. So he's a 1099 if they decide to do so. Now, let's say the guy number one, the 9-to-5 guy, let's say he has some personal complications. He has some bad contracts out there with some particular agencies. Some that we're more familiar with, like child support. What else? General garnishments from lawsuit. Garnishment for tax violations. Maybe he did an inappropriate tax return 1 year or 2 years. Found a couple of babies that wasn't his. Who knows? But typically people have issues, right? In some way, form, or fashion. That's always going to also take a part of eating the chunk out of your yearly earnings or income and profits, which turns into your loss. So everything is about two things when making money: profits and loss. So you always gotta subtract your losses from your profits, or income rather, which equals your profits. I'm sorry, profits and losses. So it would be your income minus your losses, which equals your profits. And that'll be your equation. And and whatever that bottom line is how much you make, right? And if we paid attention to that, to respecting the laws of this equation right here, we will have more of a reality check of what is actually going on with our finances. See this guy right here, no matter how hard he works, how many hours, one of the biggest problems is that the more hourly labor that you put in, the more they take, the more they tax. The more you make, the more they tax, right? So a lot of times it doesn't make sense for him to even do overtime because he's going to take home less. So this guy is feeling he's not very secure. And then, of course, at any time he can get fired, right? It don't matter if he was working 1 year or 20 years, especially what's going on right now. So another con and downfall to being the typical 9 to 5 is lack of security. Peace. Not much, man. How you feeling? Yep, I'm about to come to the door. Yeah, it's on the side. Nah, it's the front of the building. You can park on the side. Yeah, I'm about to come out the door. All right. I couldn't pause it, so let me get back to work. All right. So yeah, we have lack of security. This guy doesn't feel that safe. That's a lot of pressure. So now another thing we got to include with this guy right here, the list goes on and on with this guy. So now we talk about travel expenses, transportation maintenance, food, personal maintenance, haircut, if it's a woman, hairdos, keeping yourself fit, gym memberships, whatever. Um, we're gonna leave it at that. We're gonna leave that guy alone. I think you guys get the point, right? Another downfall. Well, actually, we're gonna some more cons are gonna come later after we introduce number 3. We're gonna fill that in later. Well, actually, I know what I'm gonna do for the sake of time. We're gonna make this a few-part series. So we're gonna leave this part 1 off at the 9 to 5, at your typical Joe Blow that reached his mark and his goal of $100,000. You know, this guy's probably was ready to retire, everything. You know what I'm saying? So he reached his goal. So just off of this right here, we can estimate that he's actually only making minus the 30K from federal, state, tax, and medical, and then a possibility of child support, any garnishments, and additional taxes. Let's act like that don't exist. Well, let's be nice, right? Even though we know typically there's something personal that cuts into that check. Travel expenses, transportation, food, personal maintenance. That right there, we're gonna sum up to, real quick. Let's do some numbers real quick, and then we're gonna close this one out to see exactly how much this guy made. So let's say, all right, $50 a week was for gas, right? Even though depending on what you're driving, because I know if this is my car, you know, easy $100 or so a week. So let's be nice, be modest. I love being modest with numbers. So that's $200 a month. If we take that 50 times 4, in a year, that's $2,400. That's not including maintenance. You know, somewhere down the line, you can spend some money on maintenance for either purchasing a car or whatever. So let's round that up at around 10K. So that's $2,400 plus the 10K for the actual maintenance. So that's 12. So let's round it up to $12,500, right? Whether we believe that or not, that stuff adds up. And personal maintenance, let's not even talk. Forget it. We just let's take that. I'm sorry, 100K minus the 30 minus the 12,500. Okay. Okay, my bad. So we're looking at 57,500. So that's a modest breakdown. That's very modest right there. So it'd be easy to say that technically, after everything is boiled down, and we're not talking about time and energy and the value of time and energy. You know, reporting and punching that clock like that. Your time and energy is typically never worth any amount of money per se, to a certain degree, right? And you can never get that time, you can never get your energy back. So so your equity is still worth more than that, and that's what they take that on the front end and they take this on the back end, and you're left with, you thought you made 100K, but you really made between 50 to 55,000. But in this case, we'll give 57,500. All right, so that's part 1 on how much do you make. Part 2, we're gonna get into the cash hustler, and then finally we're gonna end it off with part 3. Peace.